Welcome back, y'all. It is our weekly stream. If you haven't noticed, we're rebranding a few things. I kind of rebranded this the media room to go along with the brick and mortar studio that I'm launching for business owners who want to learn content creation and what to have a place where they can go and create content that will drive business to them. Okay. And um, so I'm really excited about that. This week, a little bit of housekeeping. I wanted to kind of show you guys. Right now, I'm shooting on a webcam. Um, and last week I was shooting on a webcam, but I wanted to show you the difference between this week's footage and last week's footage. I made a small investment um, in just doing something with my lights. It was under 60 bucks, and it's improved my lighting and improved the way this webcam looks by leaps and bounds. You don't have to spend a heck of a whole lot to get good footage and good clean video, but you got to make the investment. You got to learn the process of how to set this stuff up, and so that's what I teach. um, if you're in the community, I did open it up a little bit to get more people in, because I do want an audience of people that are really business owners that are ready to lock in and start learning this stuff. And so I do have a school community um, called the media room, and I want people to join so they can learn it. I got a couple of classrooms that are talking about some basic marketing concepts and some basic video concepts, and I want you guys to take advantage of that while it's free. I'm probably going to keep it free, probably until March, and then I'll be closing it back up. But this is going to be an online extension of what I do in my studio. So you're going to be seeing both ends of this. Like I said, I'm trying to build this thing in public as much as possible, so you got a chance to kind of see what we're doing. All right, so we're back for camera confidence. This is week 5 essentially, and so the past 4 weeks we've done a lot of good work. We faced our fear. We learned some of the mechanics. We started to find what our voice actually sounds like, and now we have to answer the most important part. And this is where the marketing stuff comes into. We have to answer, who are we talking to? Who are you talking to? Who is your target audience for the content that you're creating? Because a lot of times we try this shotgun blast approach. Hey, what's going on? A lot of times as business owners and stuff, when we're creating marketing stuff, we end up doing this where we do this shotgun blast approach where we try to talk to everybody. Um, and again, when you do that, when you're talking to everybody, you're really talking to nobody. And so the concept behind this is, especially as a business owner, and it goes with any media that you're creating, whether it's video, whether it's written content, if you're just doing social media posts, you need to have an idea of who your audience is, because having an idea of who your audience is allows you to dial your message in to address the specific things that they're coming to you for. Okay. And so the big mistake is boiling the ocean, right? Um, you're gonna boil the ocean to catch the fish, and that's not how it works. The biggest mistake a lot of creators make, a lot of business owners make when they're trying content for the first time, is they try to make it for everybody. You try to appeal to a big, huge audience of people, and that may work for super if you already have a very large audience. But understand, in the process of building that large audience, you did have a target person that you're talking to, and that's your core audience, whether you intended it to be or not. Okay. And so when you talk to everybody, you don't really connect with any one person. So I'm telling you straight up, the content I'm making, the stuff for the media room, my studio, is going to be for professionals and business owners and people that are serious about getting into the content creation game, and either making it a business or using it to grow their existing business. Those are the audiences I'm reaching out to. And if you're not serious about it, you know, I may not be making content for you, and that's just how it goes. Okay. So effective video marketing isn't a megaphone yelling out to a crowd. It's a magnet designed to attract one specific type of person. To be more honest, it's a conversation between two people. All right. And so you're not standing in front of the crowd screaming in the megaphone. You're pulling one person aside and having a very narrow conversation about things that they're interested in. And that's what effective video marketing is. Okay. Um, so what we're going to do is I want you to this week's exercise. It's not going to be anything with the camera on. It's not going to be anything with the audio on. It's really sitting down and figuring out who your ideal viewer is. I call them your client avatar. This is the person that you are directing the media towards. This is the person that you're making videos for. This is the person that puts money into your pocket and pays you to do a service. That is who this is for. And so that's what we're going to build out. That's who you're going to determine this week. Okay. And so before you hit record on another video or any kind of content or anything, and I don't care if you're doing this as a professional, you're just trying to draw other people who want to do business with you, or you're trying to get into the content creation game, you still need to have an idea of who that ideal person is, who that ideal viewer is. Because if you have it dialed in, you can really shape what their experience is. You know, if your ideal viewer appreciates your humor, then your video is going to be front loaded with your kind of humor. All right. If your ideal client is somebody that wants valuable information about what you're providing, what service you're providing, that's what you're going to layer the video in with. Okay. And so having that person in mind really helps you dial in. And so I don't care if you own an auto parts store or if you just hop it on here because you like the game and you want to build an audience. You need to have an idea specifically kind of who your audience is. And yes, sometimes your audience is going to surprise you with who participates and who engages. But as long as you are making content that is true to that audience, you're going to be in the driver's seat with this one. Okay. So this happens before you hit record on another video. We need to create an ideal viewer or a client avatar. All right. And it's not just demographics like age and location. It's what we call psychographics. It's their inner world, what they think about, what keeps them up at night. Okay. Those kind of questions are important considerations. Okay. And so I'm going to give you just three questions to kind of start with. Okay. 3 critical questions to start with about this person. Okay. First of all, what is their single biggest pain point? What is their frustration? What keeps them up at night related to your industry? Or what are they looking for from you? What hole or what gap in their life are you stepping into? Are they bored and you're there to entertain them? Perfect. That's where you run with. Okay. What's going on, y'all? Thanks for tuning in. We just talking boring business stuff here, y'all. And maybe you might pick up something on the content creation end of it. We'll see what happens. Okay. So first, you need to identify their pains and frustrations. Okay. What keeps them up at night related to your industry? 2, what are their biggest hopes and aspirations? What dream outcome do they want? And again, it's simple as they're bored. That's the pain point. You're entertaining them. That's that's what their hopes and aspirations are. They're looking not to be bored. If we're going as simple as that. But I need you to think in relations to what content you're creating and what business you're providing to them, what service you're providing to them. And number 3, what are specific words and phrases that they use to describe these things? And it cannot be like industry jargon. Okay. A lot of times when I was working with, I had a financial, they're financial advisors I was working with. And I was consulting with them. And one of the things I told them is, I know that you love all the verbs and all the words about Wall Street and all that stuff. And you want to show these people that you know what you're talking about when it comes to stocks and investments and everything. That wanting to feel like you know what you're talking about is hurting your clients because you're talking over their heads. You're throwing a bunch of jargon at them that they do not understand. That's what they're hiring you for. They're hiring you so that you can sort through all the industry, inside baseball kind of jargon about the financial industry. They're hiring you to simplify that process. And maybe they might learn some of it along the way, but more times than not, they don't want to have to think about all that stuff. And so if you're hitting them with all this jargon to show them how much vocabulary you have throughout your years of doing business, you're going to lose a lot of people. And you're going to bore them because they're not interested in all that stuff. That stuff is fascinating to you and not them. So you need to find the simplest way to take those very jargonese words and put them in plain English and make it as simple as possible, because that's what they're hiring you for. They don't go out and hire a financial advisor to confuse them and baffle them with more financial magical words. They don't want that stuff. Okay. So you need to figure out what words the best communicate that to them. Okay. So this is how this changes your content. Before, you might create a video titled "The Importance of Financial Planning." It's generic, it's boring. We know it's important. There's plenty of videos that talk about how important that is. You can turn on YouTube and find 1,000 different videos about why financial planning is important. Sorry, I'm opening up a soda, guys. It's been a long day. After knowing your ideal viewer is a 35-year-old who feels overwhelmed by debt, you create a video that's talking specifically to the pain point. Feeling crushed by debt with credit cards? Here's your first step out. Okay. See the difference? The second title speaks directly to their pain point. You're talking directly to something that brought them in the door. All right. It's impossible to ignore because it feels like you're reading their mind. You're entering the conversation they're already having. Okay. So that's how we phrase it. All right. So once you know your ideal viewer is a 35-year-old that's crushed by credit card debt, you can create a video that speaks directly to that pain point, as opposed to just top level, the importance of financial planning. Okay. We can step into feeling crushed by credit cards. Here's your first step out. This is how we determine your audience. Okay. And so I want you to spend some time with this. All right. When you know who you're talking to, you know what you're talking about. I really hope that makes sense. If you know who you're talking to, you know exactly what to talk about. Okay. So here's the weekly challenge. And I'm condensing the nonsense and keeping this short and sweet. Okay. This week we're going to do your ideal viewer profile. And I use ideal viewer. We can use client avatar. Who is your person that you're speaking to? Who is your audience? Okay. And you got to get granular with this one. You got to narrow down and laser in on it. So I'm going to ask you to take out a piece of paper and answer the 3 questions we talked about earlier. What are their pain points? What are their hopes? And how do they communicate it? What words are they using? Not the jargon that you know. Okay. I want you to give this person a name. Okay. And I want you to post the name of your avatar in the comments. Okay. And, example, I'm talking to Stuck Sarah, right? Somebody who's stuck in their pathway. Okay. This exercise will bring clarity to your content strategy more than anything else that we do. You have to identify your client avatar. I've done multiple videos on my YouTube about client avatar. It's probably the most important thing that you need to know when you're creating content, or whether you're building a product or service. You need to know who your buyer is. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. And so take out a piece of paper, write the answers to the questions. What are their pain points? What are their hopes and aspirations? And what words do they use to describe these things? And you got to speak in their language. Okay. So instead of this specific thing, this specific doohickey with the engine is out of whack. The way that they would describe their car problems is, my car's making funny noises. All right. Simple as that. So that's what this week is. And wherever you're seeing this in the comments, I want you to post the name of your ideal viewer / client avatar. Okay. So, and if you want to share if you want to share your answers to the question, feel free. But at least put their name. Okay. And so that's what this week's exercise is. I want to see it in the comments. I want to see your work. You got to show your work, because when you actually take time to think about your specific audience, it really does a lot to clarify the kind of content that you're going to make. And the client, it's even the product or service that you're going to sell. Okay. So if you're ready to take this strategy to the next level, turn it into professional content, I do have my founding partners offer on the table. And so I'm looking for some beta clients to launch my brick and mortar studio. I do have live services, but I do also have remote services. Um, if you're interested, you're going to see the link for that in the comments so that you can jump in and join. I'm really excited about my beta offer for the media room. And so if you want to get on the ground level, or if you're just looking for an audit and action plan to get your product or service in line, that's available too. All right. And so I'll go ahead and drop it in the comments. I will go back and put this in the descriptions that you're seeing so that you know how to get in contact with me. All right. And it's the media room by I Sell Words. So again, I'm taking on beta clients. I'm trying to get 10 to 15 people to launch this thing with. If you're interested in more strategy, if you're interested in actually getting into the creation side of things and creating the content and learning how the mechanics of learning how to and how to dial in your message and things along those lines, I'm your guy. Okay. So if you're ready to take the strategy and turn it into real professional content, I do have my founding offers program. You're going to see the link in the comments. I'll pin it to the comments when we get done here. Okay. So that's all I got. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet, guys. I got a lot going on, but I really do hope you guys spend some time identifying who your target audience is or who your client avatar is, because it's the most important thing when you are building a channel, when you're creating content, but also when you're doing business. So I appreciate y'all's time. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to y'all later. Peace.